we can take a moment and speak to maybe some of the componentized user stories that one can think about when you're envisioning your extranet. And I can think of one like right off the bat. I did mention the fact that, pulling data from a variety of different data sources. So there is this data reporting and analytics componentry that we can bring into the extranet so that when a customer logs in, they're able to see critical, whether it be transactions or performance metrics that are part of the relationship. But then I think also there's a lot of ways to kick off processes, right? Like in terms of that self-service portal, whether it's a request for something or whether it's to start a particular process. Maybe you can kind of speak to some of those that you come across on a regular.
So quite a few that you can kind of think about. The first one that's actually very simple is it's a very easy way to do business. Your clients have a need and a requirement, and you need a simple way to address that or share that. The extranet does exactly that. You can create a centralized space where you can have all of your processes built in. More importantly, that space would be available 24/7. If someone needed to access it, they could get information any point of the day without any additional cost, and more as a convenience to your clients. You have the ability for your extranets to really serve as a knowledge base. And the knowledge base is an interesting topic because with the way conversational AI is going today, your knowledge bases are actually getting smarter and smarter. So your customer could come on to the particular extranet for a specific knowledge base related query. Your platform could get smart enough where using different types of AI, it could address the query very effectively, leading to a very satisfied customer. You would also have one space kind of with all of your up-to-date information always, which can be super helpful. With e-commerce, which has become so normalized these days, with an extranet, again, you have very secure transactions available. You have a very comprehensive space to share both product information and to actually see what sort of engagement you're getting on some of these things. And tracking engagement can be either through analytics like Power BI or tracking a consumer through something like a CDP. And lastly, just thinking of the different ways that you can engage with that particular user on an extranet now. This can be through personalization that your tools offer. This can be through live chat, chat bots itself. There are a lot of ways to make that solution very, very engaging for the particular customer. It's lots of benefits.
I like the fact that you bring up the knowledge base piece. And I feel that this is something that kind of rolls off the tongue pretty quickly, and people can bring that in and they go, oh, yep, that sounds like a good thing. It takes a while to build a knowledge base. If you haven't curated that information, the chances are that you have a variety of different wikis, you have things that might be a file-based system, all sorts of different ways of accumulating insights, whether it would be a user guide or something that has pictures in it in terms of like how to take apart something. When was the best time to pull together a knowledge base? Maybe 5 years ago. When's the second best time? Probably today.
Yeah.
It's something that really, if I think about as being something fairly straightforward that people can get into pretty quickly, that is a big one because it does impact, like you said, you use that as a basis for your generative AI. That's a way to maybe damp down any hallucinations, damp down any information that might be out on the web. You're curating your own universe of data and something that's searchable. I think it's, and it's helpful for all sorts of things, whether it's conversational AI or chatbots or just some searchable web knowledge base inside of the customer extranet. Those are all great examples. Let's maybe start to put some of these pieces together. Let's think about the fact that the customer extranet is becoming like somewhat of a rally point for unifying these processes, this data, and it also has this overlay of permissions that's built into it, which I think is fantastic because identifying users, having user access, being able to define permissions around what they can see, what they can do inside of that particular extranet is all part and parcel of some of these modern frameworks. I know for yourself at Code Creators and in all of our work that we work on together, there is this Microsoft framework that is the basis of it. And it allows us to move very quickly into understanding what that construct needs to be for the client, because we have the tool set in place. And I just also want to drop like how far we've come in doing extranets and intranets. Probably one of the first intranets that I worked on was for a multi-billion-dollar company, maybe about 6,000 employees that were going to be using this extranet. There was, I think, a little over 20 departments. It was global. It was straight up HTML. It literally was, coding. It was a lot of string and tape, essentially within the context of the programming world as it is today, because we didn't have these frameworks at first. So we just naturally used the capabilities that we had of that day. And what was the result of it? It took a long time to create it. Change control was a challenge. And a lot of the things in terms of construct and structure, we had to build from the very start. So every time you created one of these extranets or intranets, it truly was a bespoke model that we were working on, and maybe probably left a lot on the table as far as some of the capability that we wanted to bring to life, just that the construction process itself was so difficult. That's changed so much with SharePoint. And all the Power Automate and Power BI. When we're looking at deploying now, like what are all those little pieces that you see come in componentry wise to the extranet?
So kind of going a step back as well, Frank. So very similar to what you mentioned, when you had an extranet originally, an extranet needed a lot of really specialized skill sets to come together. It needed a lot of expensive developers. It needed technology that was not very convenient or efficient to use. A lot of things had to go exactly right to kind of create an extranet that could be of any use, if it could be. What's different today is a lot of the challenges remain the same, in the sense of you still have a lot of different systems out there. Every organization has a separate need in terms of data, and they have a separate service, they have a separate clientele. So the usages have evolved, actually. You have more organizations, more services, more customers in the market. What's been helpful is, in terms of a technology stack, you have solutions like Microsoft that have evolved, where solutions around Office 365 can actually do everything within your extranet for you. And using things like Azure, you can have a SQL database spun up in the cloud almost immediately with no hardware costs, really, as you don't need a server anymore. It's all cloud-based. You have solutions that are built around SharePoint today. And SharePoint is known for document management. SharePoint is known for strong design, the ability to really customize as you need. You have solutions around Microsoft Teams that you have available today. So chatting someone, texting someone, calling someone, scheduling meetings, all becomes super easy. Microsoft has added their own level of AI through Copilot that you now have available in your entire stack as well. So all of the challenges that you used to have for an extranet are all actually solved in one package. Now, you can use that to create one simple SharePoint site where you would add an external user and that would serve as your extranet. Or you can actually use something around Microsoft Power Pages to create a beautiful handcrafted website. How you utilize the stack is really up to you, and based kind of on your use case. But Microsoft has given you the tool set, and it's given you the framework as well. Now, with each one of these applications, you can decide who has access, the level of access that they have. You can monitor all of the data very, very carefully. All of those options exist. The other option, again, sticking with Microsoft, and that's interesting as well, is CDP, which is our customer data platform. So what you can potentially do is you can incorporate your CDP within your extranet as well. And that adds another element to your equation of, now you can actually track the customer journey within the extranet. And you now have an additional point where you can collect metrics, collect data, and now serve an even more personalized experience within the extranet. So you gather data and you use that to benefit the end customer.
I will say that Microsoft has been in the, with SharePoint. I think SharePoint came out, would it have been in the late 90s or early 2000s? I mean, it's been around for a good solid 20 years. And I think
Absolutely.
for the first 15 years, my personal opinion was it was very clunky looking. It worked, but it was nothing that you wanted to put out on an external website to share with customers as people were evolving the UI of the web in terms of web presence. And somewhere about 5 years ago, somebody on the staff said, let's start making it look beautiful as well. And I think that's made a world of difference in terms of usability on the extranet side. It's much more fluid. The design components are more attractive. The dashboards that you can create are beautiful as well, but also incredibly informative. So I think it's made some incredible leaps. So today, I think that these extranets have more utility and usability because they now fit that beautiful standard for a website that people have come to need and expect.
I could even add that in terms of the integrations that the platform offers now, integrations could be in the form of other CRMs like Salesforce, HubSpot, integrations to third-party applications. It's now become so easy not only to create your extranet, but plug and play with so many other things that it becomes very easy for an organization to provide its customers that value. It just depends on how important customer engagement and customer retention truly is to you.
You mentioned that SharePoint ultimately kind of started as more like, document management and maybe forms, and that has scaled into being much more of a data platform now in terms of being able to provide visualizations of data. Microsoft CRM and Microsoft Dynamics accounting can be part of this as well because we're pulling data from those arenas and sharing that out to the customer. We're also capturing customer engagement at the extranet, sharing that back out to the CRM. So this two-way data transfer is also providing a tremendous amount of additional utility to the extranet.
Absolutely, it all stays kind of in one place, and it's not even necessary that you have to use kind of every tool that Microsoft provides, but in terms of an option and both a feature competitive and price competitive option, it's there now. Whether you use Dynamics or Salesforce really kind of falls into your use case. But based on the integrations that both of those platforms have built today, having the ability for the two of them to talk to each other to provide both the consumer and the client kind of the result that they desire is now almost quintessential and is provided at every step of the way now.
It is. Yeah. So now we have a beautiful extranet. We have a dynamic extranet because it's changing, because it's integrated. And now as a strategy for getting new customers, keeping customers, optimizing your operations, this is by far and away an important strategy that if you don't have in place, you really should be thinking about.